don't know? Okay, yes.
I love that you made the sort of the villain in the beginning.
Yes.
Now I'm forgetting her name, but
Audrey.
she becomes sort of the
the mother in
redeeming
school.
voice in the end. Or
Yes.
but I just wondered that. We read this for our book club.
Oh, good. Okay.
And loved it. But a lot of us are teachers, and I think a lot of the things that you wrote, like about her and surrounding sort of that whole school culture.
Yes.
We were like, well, yeah, that's a lot like a lot of the parents we work with. I wondered, like, would your daughter go to a school like that?
Yes, so I have a daughter who's 9 years old now, and she goes to a private school in Seattle called Meridian. Yeah, everyone wants to know I'm happy to tell everyone what school my daughter goes to. It's Meridian. And I love the school. And the school is nothing like actually the school probably is like the school in the book, but to me there's nothing wrong with the school in the book particularly. It's like the parents are running around like the same people in the book, you know, but I think that my daughter goes to this private school, and public schools are like this as well, I think a lot of them, but that I can't even believe how wonderful this school is, or that all the schools basically. I mean, they're all just so enlightened and sweet, you know, that I'm a big fan of these private schools. I think that I can take any of them and send my kid to any of them just generally, you know, and so I have no beef about the school, and I have no beef about the mothers in the school who are not at all anything like in the book. You know, I really had to construct that just to get the story going, to give Bernadette an enemy. And that was just, again, she didn't have a workplace. You know, there were very few places for me to look to try to come up with somebody who she was butting heads with, and the school seemed obvious. But yeah, I mean, I then just went to town with that other mother character, you know, and that I feel like Audrey really is, I mean, everyone feels like they have an Audrey, that they know Audrey, you know, and last night, I was 2 nights ago, I was in LA, and there's this school there, which might be the most expensive exclusive school in the world. Why I was doing a fundraiser for them, I have no idea. Harvard Westlake. I somehow found myself at this fundraiser at Harvard Westlake, and everyone was saying, "Oh, I'm Bernadette, I'm Bernadette, I'm Bernadette." And then this woman came during the Q&A. They were all saying that, and then this woman who actually did seem pretty disheveled compared to these other women who really had it together were saying, "They're not Bernadette, they're Audrey." I was just sitting there outraged that they identify with Bernadette because they make me feel like Bernadette. Those women, you know, and it was so funny. And it's, I guess it happens everywhere, right? You have but that I think everyone, even if you have it together, I think everyone kind of feels like Bernadette, you know, because I think you feel like the other mothers are judging you and you're not doing enough, you know, and that I had no idea that I was kind of striking a chord with that, you know. I mean, I certainly feel that way, you know, that I always feel like I'm the one. It was really largely because I came up with this idea for the book when my daughter was in kindergarten, and so the whole time I've been at this school, I was actually writing a novel, and so my poor child, I was practically kicking her out of a moving car, you know, on drop-off to be like, "Get in there on your own, I have a novel to write, I have like 6 hours," you know, so I wasn't volunteering, I wasn't doing any of this stuff, so I felt very outside the culture of the school, but now I'm free. You know, it took me a while because also I just moved here, so there was a lot of things going on that would make me feel like an outsider, but 4 years later they finally embraced me, and they are my best friends, so that's good. Yes?
Well, I'm an architecture with 16 years in Seattle.
Oh my gosh!
Before I
Wow.
escaped back to the Bay Area.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
And Seattle was known far and wide as the passive-aggressive capital of the United States.
Totally. Yes. Yes.
So when Bernadette was so happy to have the blackberries removed from her hillside, as an architect, she knew very well what was going to happen.
Yes. Exactly. Like, sure, I'll hire your guy. I'll hire your guy. Have him do it on the day he wants, and it's all. Yeah, exactly. So you know that, right? You know that you can't pull. People know that. It's so funny about you can't pull blackberries off of a hillside. It's funny because you know that, but a lot of people are puzzled by that mudslide and think like, "Oh, you really took it too far. It was like a little too crazy." And I say, no, that actually was totally real. that part of the book, because you can't be pulling blackberries off of a hillside.
You didn't come right out to
say.
say she was being passive aggressive.
Yes, I know. It's very passive aggressive. So she learned well. Exactly. She gave the passive aggressive as good as she took. Yeah, exactly. And yes.
I grew up in Seattle, so I love all the Seattle
Oh,
references.
good. Oh,
I
fantastic.
got them all. And I was just curious about Sue Lynn and why you decided that she got pregnant. And
I know,
I was
everyone hates
waiting
that.
for her to miscarry.
I know, everyone was waiting for that.
Trying to
So this is
remember.
a bit of a spoiler alert, I'm sorry, but I'm not the one who said it. So I'll address this, okay? So sorry, everybody. But here's the thing, it's a big question, and it goes to the form of the novel. So this is this epistolary novel form, right? And it's just documents, right? So not only did I have to figure out the story of the novel, but I figured out how the information would be told. You know, who would be telling me information, and more than that, why they would be telling me. You know, who's telling it, who are they telling it to, and why are they telling it? So it was all these extra layers on top of just me writing in third person, saying, oh, there was a mudslide, oh, we went down to Ushuaia, or they went down to Ushuaia and Bernadette wasn't there. You know, so I had all this information. And what I found was that about after Bernadette disappears, I guess, so it's maybe 2/3 of the way through the book, there was nobody to tell the story. I really felt like I just had a good ride and this would be an abandoned novel. You know, I just thought like, I guess it just didn't come together because Bernadette was gone, right? B doesn't have the information. The whole point of the novel is that B doesn't have information, that she's trying to get information, right? LG wouldn't, he's not a guy who's going to open his heart and tell the details of his life to someone, you know? And so I was just like running out of options about who to do it. And so Sue Lynn, who I didn't even realize would be such a big character when I started writing the book, but she ends up being kind of the beast of burden of the narrative. Like, she's the one who really, I actually think probably her page count is 3 times as big as Bernadette. Like, she is actually the one telling the story almost more than anybody. In some ways, I mean, in a perverse way, I can make the case that she was my narrator, you know, because of all the exposition, you know, the information, she's the one who dispenses a lot of it. And so I needed her to stay in the picture, you know, and I couldn't think of a way to keep her in the picture. And I wanted there to be like a night with LG, you know, because I wanted Bernadette to see it and to feel, I just wanted it to just, you know, someone at a Q&A, I was at the LA Times Festival of Books, and that they had said, you're really mean to your characters. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and good for you that I am, because it's fun, you know, I mean, like, it's a fun reading experience. You want to really just throw everything you've got at these characters, because that's what, to me, makes a fun story and a fun reading experience. And so I wanted there to be this workplace affair, you know, and I wasn't going to not have that. I mean, it's not very sympathetic, let's say, but I tried to kind of sell it as much as I could and have people kind of understand it. But the pregnancy ended up just staying in there because I needed her to be in the picture, A, and then B, I thought that would be a cop-out if at the end, okay, convenient, happy ending, she's miscarried, because that's not a happy ending. I mean, that's, and I thought that would be cheap, and also I thought that it would not, so there were a few, and then also people said, well, couldn't she have been tricking LG? Because trust me, I had conference calls with very high-ups in the publishing house and with my UK publisher and agents everywhere, like, you've got to rethink this, you've got to rethink this, and I mean, they don't know me. The more they said, the more I dug in. But I wouldn't do it, because also I felt like it would be compromising LG's character if he got tricked. You know what I mean? I just thought it would make him kind of like de-ball him in some way if he just let some admin trick him. You know what I mean? I felt like that wasn't an option for me for that reason. And LG, you know, I was interested in Bernadette, and I was interested in B, and Audrey, you know, to a slightly lesser extent when I started writing the book. And LG took 4 or 5 or 6 drafts to kind of raise up to the level of my women characters, which I think is a very common thing when people write novels. You kind of, you go into it being more interested in some characters than others. And I think that if I didn't know that LG was just on the borderline, you know, of being a fleshed out character, I might have sold him down the river, you know, but I worked so much to get him, to get him fleshed out and to get him, like, you know, to legitimize him as a character. I didn't want him to be tricked. And then the final thing that I will say is that I feel like Bernadette really acts irresponsibly during the book, and the moralist in me wanted her to be punished in some way. Like, otherwise she just gets away with the whole thing. She's just acting totally irresponsibly, and then she thinks she's going to come back and everything will be fine. And I mean, like, the number one rule of fiction or of anything is that the characters need to learn something, you know, and she's like, learn nothing, you know, she's just like, okay, I'll just ta-da, I'm back, you know, and everything's fine. And I like the irony of her thinking, okay, it'll all be fine when I get back, and the reader knows, but Bernadette doesn't, that no, things are not fine when she gets back. I liked ending on that note. You know, it's interesting, did you feel like it gave it like a sad ending?
No, I guess no, it didn't. I was just wondering how the logistics were going to work out later on.
I know, exactly. I know how they're going to deal with it, but you know, I actually think, and maybe I just didn't, maybe I was too cavalier about this as an author, but I feel like Bernadette can handle it. Like, I believe that. I feel like she comes back and she's going to have to handle it, you know, and I think that she's someone who has not been she's not been living in reality, you know, she's not been dealing with reality in a responsible way, you know, when we first meet her. And I feel like if there's anything that this story has done for her is made her a little more open to dealing with reality, and I feel like she can handle this. So I wasn't worried about her, but I think people are worried about her. And I think also it's kind of mean to do to Sue Lynn, but poor Sue Lynn just is like the punching bag in the book. So, and so she is not going to have a happy ending, probably, which is sad. But I know she was. I just love that character because she's so awful, and she's the one who makes me laugh. Like, people say Bernadette's funny or whatever, but Sue Lynn, I'll just open to any Sue Lynn passage and just laugh like a hyena. I mean, just at my own work. I mean, it's really awful. I try to do it when I'm alone in a room. But I think she's really funny because it's kind of more subtle, and she's so awful. You know, just like the worst of all characters. But I do love her, and I loved writing her. She was always the most fun for me to sit and write. I don't know why, because I think the other characters were very much like me in some ways, either like parts of me, and she was so kind of foreign to me that I was so amazed that I was able to write her as well as I was and to just get so much out of her, you know. So that was a real joy as a writer, to write just this awful, just small-minded, provincial admin, you know. So that part was fun. Okay, so any more questions? Yes.
I have a question, but I have to do a comment.
Yes.
I thought at the end that Bernadette was just off to do a great design of the base camp for for Antarctica.
Yes.
I don't know that
is.
she.
Yes. What do you mean? You don't think she's going to come back?
I don't know what she's going to do, but I think she's really excited about her new project.
Exactly. Well, she does have a new project, and she is very. And so, I mean, I was a little flip when I said she doesn't learn anything. I mean, I think that if she's learned something, it's to be an artist again, you know, which is kind of, if there's anything that's kind of the journey of the book, it's for her to be an artist again. So that is really what I was trying to do, is write about somebody who was kind of stuck in their life, and the journey of the book is getting loose, you know, loose from that jam that they find themselves in, and then she moves forward, you know. So that's one of the last lines of the book, is where she says to is where she says it's like the second, where she says, I blame myself. None of what's become of me was Seattle's fault. Well, it might be Seattle's fault. The people are pretty boring. But let's withhold final judgment until I start being more of an artist and less of a menace. I make you only one promise. I will move forward. You know, so I wanted to get that as late possibly in the book. It's like 4 lines from the end, you know. So that to me was the journey of the book, that when she says I'll move forward, then she's okay. You know, then the story is over. It's funny, people ask about a sequel or whatever, but I just feel like, hey, she's learned a lesson, the story's told, you know, it's over, she's happy, she's in a good place-ish, you know. Any other questions, or, yes?
Not necessarily sequel, but, I mean, this is such a huge hit for you, and I'm sure it's taken a lot of your time and your
Yes.
focus. Are you working on anything? I understand there's a new movie, but are you working on any other projects, or what?
There is going to be, the people are working on the movie, the screenwriters are writing it now, and so that's exciting. If they can crack this thing, I don't know how you get it on the screen, but we have paid professionals on the job, so that's good. And I don't want, I'm a producer on the movie, and when the script, you know, I was involved in hiring the writers, and when they wrote this movie, 500 Days of Summer. Did anyone see that book?
Yeah.
That movie? It's like a cute movie, right? So I think they can do a good job. And then no, I'm not. I need to take a break. You know, my boyfriend, who's also a writer, and I are working on a play now, which we don't know if the wheels will come off it or not. But so far so good. We're about halfway through. And we've never written before. He's a big-time comedy writer, and we've never joined forces. But so far, we haven't killed each other. And when I'm done with touring, maybe this summer, we'll sit down and try to finish it. But I'm waiting. I think it's going to be a long time before I write another book, you know, because I would rather, I'd rather just kind of wait until something powerful strikes me, and then I can write it pretty quickly, you know, as opposed to sitting down and going like, oh, I better write another book, like what, looking at the newspaper for ideas or something, you know. I'd rather just wait till there's something incredibly personal that I need to get out, you know. There's a question over here, yes.
We have a housekeeper that couldn't be here tonight, but she insisted that we ask for a recipe for the pink penguin.
Oh, you know what? There's no recipe for the pink penguin. I'm so sorry. That's so funny. I know the book groups want a recipe for the pink penguin. I should just make it up. But that was just a little writing technical thing that I did because I needed it to jump out. Do you know what I mean? When you saw it, I needed, so instead of just calling it like red wine, I needed like, you know, the thing that would jump out, and that those cruise ships name everything in really idiotic fashion. So I thought, okay, I believe that they would name a drink a pink penguin, whatever that means. It's alliterative, so at least there's that going for it. But no, I don't know. Should we wrap it up? Are we done?
Can you
Yeah.
take one more question?
One more question?
And then we'll have
Yeah.
signing.
Or no more last questions? Okay, good. So assigning now. Okay, good. Well, thank you so much.